What is the worst memory you have of school? Drama club kids making a game of seeing how far they could push me until I quit the school play once they got the other designated punching bag freak to quit. They wouldn't give me a copy of the script and someone only lent me a copy to photocopy once I swore I wouldn't tell who let me have it. They'd move my stuff around whenever they found my latest hiding place. I got threatened physically and got cornered and told what a fuck up loser I was a couple of times. They got me to stand at the very end of the cast photo and I was the only one that got cropped out in the yearbook photo. They did so much shit. If I detailed it all it would be a wall of text. It fucked me up for a while and I never went for another play, even though I loved being on stage. But I never gave them tears and I didn't quit. We had a threat made and the middle was evacuated. They put all of us in the football stadium. We sat in 95.F direct sunlight for about 2 hours. They tried distributing water but couldn't get enough. Once people started passing out they moved us to the high school auditorium. It was a tight fit, but at least we had ACK and reheated sandwiches for lunch. Nothing was found, and in the end our hall pass policy was stricter. There was also an adult monitoring the bathrooms at all times for the rest of the year. In 2nd grade, the kid next to me at lunch poured his entire carton of milk all over my pizza, so I went to throw it away, but the lunchroom monitor said I hadn't eaten enough of it and made me take more bites of it, so I was just standing there crying by the trash cans and eating milk-soaked cafeteria pizza until I had achieved some arbitrary level of doneness. 1st grade, my teacher wouldn't let me use the bathroom until my desk was organized. She was pretty mean in general. I really needed to pee. The rest of the class was dismissed, so it was just her and I couldn't focus because I had to pee so fucking bad. So I did, standing there. Then I promptly left and hoped no one would notice. Spoiler, everyone noticed. My dad kidnapped us for the first time and put us in school. When my mother found us, she went to school to get us. I didn't want to go, cause she physically abused me and I was kind of happier with the less abusive parent. I ran throughout the school as police officers, teacher, and my mother looked for me. I think they found me in the bathroom, hidden in a stall. It took them a bit to find me, but I remember not understanding why the school, the place I would escape to, would give me over to a woman who beat me. Probably at the beginning of 10th grade. I was getting a lot of stomach problems plus anxiety and depression were hitting my life hard. So because of the problems above I wasn't really going to school, I was barely eating anything, and I just wanted to sleep my life away. One of the school council teachers that I was good friends with at the time said that I wasn't trying hard enough and that my depression is a joke. I never talked to her again, and I ended up switching schools in the middle of the school year. In grade 1 my friend Colin and I were in the bathroom and I leaned up against the stall doorway not realizing my finger was in the hinge. Colin thought it would be funny to slam the door, and to this day I don't know if he knew my finger was there or not. But he swung that metal door closed so fucking hard that he basically broke my finger in half without breaking the skin. I cried so hard that I got a nosebleed and continued crying even harder until, to the discovery of all the faculty in the office, you can actually cry hard enough to bleed out of your eyes. I popped enough blood vessels that the whites of my eyes looked completely red, and as a result of the pressure on my face from crying so hard I started crying blood. I'll assume this isn't just my worst memory of school, but maybe a few of the office people too, since they had a small child with entirely crimson eyes with trails of blood streaking down his cheeks like a fucking horror movie screaming and pointing a crooked finger at them. Either the time my psychotic French teacher locked me in the supply cupboard, or when my Latin teacher hit me with a ruler. Note, said Latin teacher now works for the BBC after the child sex offences trial collapsed due to his very expensive lawyers. He'll probably threaten to sue me if he sees this comment. It was an extracurricular activity, but playing football, American, messed up my life pretty bad. I ruptured 2 discs in my neck and was told by my doctor I was lucky to not be a quadriplegic. After I told my coach the bad news, and I can either play again or risk not being able to walk, I was told thanks for letting me know, nothing else. I became extremely isolated after that. My social life tanked, and I nearly got hooked on painkillers at 15. The amount of activity I can do at 23 is severely limited. I've already had 4 surgeries and have to go physical therapy intermittently to alleviate some of the symptoms. I loved football and weightlifting. I was getting close to break school records in weightlifting. Really wish I would have stuck to the weights. Gym class, dressing room. In the bathroom crying because my bullies, Brenda V. and 2 other girls, were making fun of the way I walked and the fact I had big boobs. When I was in middle school, I have cerebral palsy and crooked hips. I was about to come out of the stall when I heard them walk in. They giggled to each other and loudly harassed me. Heard a click. Then some toilet paper was tossed over the stall door, lit on fire. Luckily I didn't get burned too badly. Temporary red marks, no scarring, but it was terrifying to say the least. It didn't end there. I stumbled out of the stall screaming and crying, but they grabbed my shoulder and shoved me to the wall, proceeding to tear my shirt and bra open, calling me things like cow and some expletives, laughing in my face. Then, they left. I never reported it because I was too scared and embarrassed. Looking back, I should have so the trio could get thrown out of school or something. Welp, when I was in high school a classmate, girl, liked me and she was around me all the time. I didn't like her cause she acted childish thinking she was funny, but she was a pain in the ass to listen to. One day I was talking to another classmate. She kept interrupting and interrupting. I told her I was talking to X. She snapped and hit me. We both fell on the floor. I was grabbing her wrists, so she didn't hit me anymore. Teachers arrived and even though all the classmates told them I was innocent and that she was the one to start, but teachers didn't believe it, cause I was a boy and she was a teacher's pet. I hated that school. Catholic. Private/expensive. Wouldn't teach shit. You wouldn't pass an exam if you didn't lick the teacher's asshole. They just grabbed my parents' money and left me behind in class. When I moved to a public school, parents didn't want my scores raised to be almost perfect and classmates weren't psychos. Realizing that the whole school was corrupt and that favoritism exists everywhere, my school didn't give one shit about you unless your parents donated money or you made them money, e.g. the high academic achievers, sportswomen, musicians, etc. High school, used to wear suits once in a while, so when it rained or snowed I'd wear a trench coat instead of my normal winter coat. I got chewed out for it every single time. One day my girlfriend was cold, so I gave the coat to her. We walked right past one of the administrators who proceeded to give us a friendly hello and bugger off. Didn't say a damn thing to my girlfriend about the coat. University, I was in a marriage and family class and my professor went on an hour-long rant about how gamers are unmarriageable, how girls shouldn't date guys who game, and how guys will need to give up gaming if they want to be good husbands. I had a good relationship with one of my teachers, and it would be quite normal to joke around with her. She spoke to me once after a bad score on a test and said I need to apply myself better. I jokingly said back quote, well a pupil can only be as good as their teacher. She took it really offensively, like I was insinuating my laziness was her fault, even though I was just joking around. Looking back I can totally see why. I hadn't meant to be a jerk, but it was a total dick thing to say. I'm in my 30s now and still feel bad about it from time to time. It's one of those lay in bed at night thinking about past mistakes things. In the school I was in as a 7th grader there usually was a celebratory school trip to our amusement park to mark moving on to the next step of the educational ladder. This one year as we were the ones that were going, and the day was closing in, I quickly noticed everyone was being much kinder to me, and a couple other kids they used to pick on relentlessly, even going as far as calling us friends, and asking to play with us and all that kid stuff. Well all the way up, and the school trip was over, and they went right back at bullying us like before. Turned out the teachers had told the parents of my classmates there would be no school trip if they could not get their kids to stop being bullies. Felt like a dagger to the spine when classmates who I had come to think of as friends simply just ghosted me and acted as we never knew each other's to begin with. If anyone asks why I have some trouble trusting people, it's stuff like this. In primary school, maybe around age 6, we had a themed day where everyone had to wear blue. for some national history thing. I insisted to my mum that it was that day, but I was wrong. So I turned up wearing a blue jumper instead of my school uniform on the wrong day. To this day, I'm still completely paranoid about any event where you have to dress up. In my mid-30s now, and I still compulsively check dates for fancy dress events 100 times. I wrote a love letter to a gal I was crushing hard for using lyrics from a couple of Boys I Men albums to fully explain my feelings. I spent 2 nights carefully crafting this letter using what 13-year-old me thought were the most profound and impactful lyrics I could utilize at my disposal that would give me the best chance to win the girl. Mind you, I was a chubby kid who grew up poor with thick glasses and poor hearing with zero confidence. She was in the, what we called, the preppy group. The popular group. She was beautiful. Socially, 35-year-old me knows this would work only in the rarest of cases of two complete opposite social statuses in middle school. This was at the time the single scariest thing I've ever done. So I slipped the letter in an envelope, sprayed with off-brand Tommy Hilfiger cologne with a piece of chocolate inside. I meticulously drew a heart and flower. I had no fucking doubt that the amount of time and detail I spent on this letter would absolutely give me a shot and a chance with my crush of crushes. After the next class, while walking down the hallway, suddenly some of the male preppies suddenly started busting out in Boys I Men lyrics, much to my horror, and I saw her. She was standing with her friends. We locked eyes. For a fleeting moment, there was something there, I thought. She smiled. My heart picked up a beat. Her friends saw me. They all laughed at me. Then the leader of this group came up and slung his arm around the gal and gave her a kiss, looked at me, winked at me and smiled. They turned and he started singing Boys I Men as they walked away. Fuck that bitch. April 28th, 1999. A friend handed me a wadded up shirt as a birthday gift. Someone nearby saw the exchange and thought it was a weapon. Once the get to class bell rang, 6 admin staff escorted myself and 3 of my friends into the office for interrogation. Just short of being strip searched, staff went through everything in my backpack, paper by paper. When they had nothing actionable, the guilt tripping started about how I was dressed. After 5 hours of interrogation, we were released to class with no excuse for the missed periods, so we had to deal with that as well. Encounters with the faculty continued until I finally graduated. I was diagnosed with that at the time, and my special ed case manager makes sure the school accommodates any special needs a student may have, treated me like I was just being lazy and using AD as an excuse. Sometimes as much as 3 times a week, she would pull me out of class and drill into my head that my value as a human being depends on what college degree I get. If I couldn't whip up a 2-page essay on the Canterbury Tales in 20 minutes, I wouldn't graduate, I wouldn't make it into college, and I would spend the remainder of my days saying welcome to Armut for a living. Well, I graduated 5 years ago and did just 2 months of trade school, and now I make more than she does working a job I love, so I think I won in the end. I went to an extremely snobby school in the north. I very begrudgingly admit. However, it was a very good school academically, rated very high academically nationwide, and trust me, they reminded us of that constantly. Nonetheless, I have told many stories on my high school. Despite its academic rigor, it had absolutely no common sense in administration. Fun stories of my high school includes closing campus to sophomores coming in the next year because the current sophomore class was acting up during lunch, but they became juniors, so the new rule didn't apply to them. Another fun one I've told before was how, when we first got the internet, porn came up on my screen. It was a total accident, but I was not believed, and I was suspended. Then it happened to other students and staff, then they realized it was a problem and got filters. But they never acknowledged their mistake. I do not miss high school at all. I have so many. How to narrow it down? I'll go with first one that really sticks in my mind. I must have been about 14. I think most of the girls in my class had already had a boyfriend from school. I had a boyfriend for a week in 2nd grade, then he dumped me for my best friend. So jump to many years later, and there's a new boy in my grade. He was cute, funny, not a total redneck, and he actually liked me. So he asked if I was coming to the football game, and could we hang out? Yay. At the football game, we sat together, held hands, he bought me a drink. My brother played football, so after the games I had to wait for him to be ready to go home. The cute boy waited with me, and when no one was around he kissed me. Yay. Monday morning. I come rolling into homeroom thinking it was going to be the best Monday ever because a boy actually liked me and said we could sit together in lunch etc etc. But instead, I see him among all the other boys and they are laughing at me and he starts making fun of me. Turns out, sometime between Friday night and Monday morning, he was informed by the other boys that I was the ugliest girl who ever existed and a loser, and rather than say to hell with them, he told them he didn't like me and I had latched onto him and that I kissed like an alligator and all kinds of bad stuff so that he didn't look like he was interested in the sad little freak that was me. I remember feeling absolutely crushed and can still picture him sitting there with the other guys making fun of me as I came in the doorway. Having my year 7 ex send his new girlfriend to come up to me and hand deliver a note from him saying how much he doesn't like me, never liked me, is with ex now, because we actually do stuff, and signed it off by saying that I would be nothing more than a frigid midget . He meant frigid. After delivering the note, she then yelled at me to read it, watched me burst into tears, knocked my books out of my hands, and her BFF spat on me. They're actually still together to this day. Actually, good on them, I guess. Getting beat up or bullied from 1st grade up until 7th grade, but the worst was when someone tried to push me off the stairs. Getting pushed off of those stairs would most certainly kill you. They had an extremely sharp angle, and well, life has made me better, but I seriously had an extreme desire to personally take his life when I was 10. Man, those times were fucking dark.